Hydrostor is a Canadian company that specializes in long duration electricity storage or power storage, and it recently received an investment of $250 million from Goldman Sachs. This created a lot of excitement and attention in the news media. So we're going to talk to CEO Curtis VanWalleghem. Welcome to the interview, Curtis.
Thank you very much, Markham. Pleasure to be here.
Look, this is really exciting. And I think, long duration storage is kind of the holy grail of the renewables industry right now. The sun shines and the wind blows, but sometimes it doesn't. So you want to restore energy for a day or two or longer. Tell us how your technology works.
Sure. So we use compressed air, but we do it in a bit of a unique way. Compressed air has been around for 50 years. We've made some innovations to that, patented it. And so the way our system works is we can site virtually anywhere. We sink a shaft, so a 2-meter diameter shaft, go down about 600 meters, hollow out some rock, let it flood with water. Then we compress air using equipment that's very proven from the industrial settings. Push air down, which lifts water up, holds that as potential energy. When you need power, you let the valve out, the air comes out to spin a turbine, and the water backfills into the cavern. So it can be thought of as pneumatic pumped hydro. There's a bit of a thermal and heat management in there, but that's the basics.
Now, how economic is this, Curtis? Because I know I've seen a little discussion online about your technology, and there's always the question of efficiency or energy losses and efficiency. Maybe you could address that if you wouldn't mind.
Certainly. Yeah, there's no one metric that really defines the industry. You have a cost profile. What does it cost to build? What does it cost to add an hour of extra storage? What's your round trip efficiency? What's your response time? And it's really the bundle. What's your life and cycle life, and do you degrade? It's a combination of all those things that's the value proposition. So in the long duration sector, we have a round trip efficiency of about 60 to 65%, which is, believe it or not, near the top of the heap. Pumped hydro is a little bit higher. Most of the rest of long duration is quite a bit lower, some of them as low as 20, 30%, like hydrogen and others. And so we are quite economic, on a cost basis. We can add an hour of storage for less than $50 a kilowatt hour, where lithium ion is about 300, to give you a sense. And we last 50 years with no degradation, and batteries degrade pretty quickly. I'm lucky to last kind of more than 10 years. So it's a combination. I think the proof is in the pudding. When the utilities go out and they want long duration storage, they're picking us. And I think that reflects the combination of our value proposition: cost, efficiency, performance, life, and commercial readiness.
Now, let's talk about the market for this, because the investment from Goldman Sachs is intended to advance some projects in California and Australia. Can you tell us about those projects, please?
Certainly. Yeah, so long duration storage, in historically, people thought, well, lithium's kind of doing what it needs to do. But as renewable penetration keeps getting higher, the length of storage you need gets longer. So up until a few years ago, really that 1, 2, 4 hours cut it, and lithium does a great job there. Now that the renewable penetration's getting up, we need longer, 8 to 24 hours. That's where we step in. So we have 3 advanced projects that we're developing. Our PECO project, which is 400 megawatt, 8-hour in San Luis Obispo, California. And there's a nuclear plant shutting down. They've got lots of solar. We help absorb that solar, provide peaking power back when the sun goes down. A very similar story in Southern California, in Kern County, outside LA. It's a renewable zone. You look, as far as the eye can see, is solar panels and wind turbines. We help integrate that and serve the load centers in Southern California. And then in Australia, the city of Broken Hill, there have 40-year-old diesel generators that act as the backup, and all the renewable in the region is being curtailed. So we step in, we're the reliability solution, shutting down the diesel generators, helping to support the grid, unlocking all that renewable and allowing more renewables to come on to reduce the electricity rates for the consumers in the region. So, all slightly different applications, but the main part of it is we soak up renewables, give it back when it's needed, and we do that more cost effectively than the alternatives with no emissions.
Now, there was some chatter on social media about Alberta and oil and gas reservoirs, if that had any potential. You mentioned that your one project is in Kern County, which is the big oil producer in California. Can you use oil reservoirs instead of creating your own cavern?
No. The simple answer is no. If you send air down into what used to be a gas or an oil cavern, it'll come back with contaminants through it. And so we prefer a full greenfield basis where we just hollow out fresh rock, keep that rock on surface and do that. There are ways, you could use certain salt caverns, certain porous media, but that's really not what our patents and what our business is about. We've designed this way that we can go where it's needed as opposed to trying to find existing holes in the ground and make that work in some way. That's just not our business.
And what about longer duration than, say, 24 hours? Will there be a time when your technology is able to do 2 days, 3 days, maybe a week?
Yeah, it can do it today. We just make the hole in the rock a bit bigger. So there's no technical challenge. It's an economic one. Will they pay for it? Because obviously making it a bit bigger does cost incrementally more. Right now, they're paying, the market will pay you for kind of 8 to 12 hours, kind of that daily cycle and enabling that. Once you start moving to, or if you want to team up with a wind farm to offer corporations 24/7 green electrons, there's a justification for a 24-hour solution. Going beyond to like 48 or a week, even seasonal, haven't seen the business case for that and how it'll get compensated. Once you start going seasonal, that's where stuff like hydrogen comes in, because hydrogen has a high cost and it's very inefficient, 20-25% efficient. But if you're only cycling it 4 times a year, your efficiency doesn't matter as much. It's a capacity value that you offer. So we kind of have this sweet spot in that 8 to 48 hour kind of range. That's where our technology plays. There's probably other technologies for much, much longer duration, and lithium does a great job as the short duration.
Is there the potential for this, Curtis, seems to be almost unlimited, given the penetration of renewables into some of, into the US and European markets, for instance, and China. Have you had any interest from outside of North America?
Yeah, absolutely. We are Middle East, North Africa, Europe, Asia. We're getting a lot of interest, South America. For us, just the stage that we were at as a business, it kind of invent the technology, build some smaller plants, show it works, get the ability to underwrite the big plants, take some very limited dollars and show that we could get contracts. That's kind of what the phase we got to, which attracted Goldman Sachs to place an investment and their trust in the team. Now that we've got the capital to grow, now it is expand globally and start putting a lot more opportunities on the map so that we can truly try to tip the balance on energy flows towards carbon-free energy transition.
Hey, Curtis, you mentioned what the market values now. Now, of course, in the U.S. and in California, you've actually got markets. In Canada, you don't. Very often, it's aside from Alberta, it's dominated by big crown utilities. Does your technology work in a market like British Columbia or Quebec or Manitoba, where there actually isn't an electricity market?
Yeah, so we can obviously build it there. The question is, for us to invest our money, we need to know there's a pathway to a contract, or that those big incumbent monopolies will buy it from us and they can own it and operate it. We merely build, own, transfer to them. So there are some monopoly markets where we're in those build, own, transfer discussions. For us to invest and develop our own project, we need to see the signals for the revenue source. We don't see that, very frankly, in Canada very much. Alberta is making some strides, opening up their transmission system and starting to pay for capacity. They still have a lot of cheap gas, and the carbon tax doesn't really penalize gas generation. It's good we got off coal, but when you compete head to head with gas in an Alberta like market, it's tough, but it's getting better. It's getting closer. We are looking more at it. Ontario, the ISO is planning to do a procurement, a long-term procurement, which we understand should be a good fit for long duration storage. So we got our eye there. Outside of those two places in Canada, it's really talk to the big monopoly, and if you get them on side, you might get a pathway to a project kind of bilaterally with them.
Well, Curtis, looking ahead, if you could get your crystal ball out, what do you see for Hydrostor over the next, say, 2 to 5 years?
Yeah, in the big, large-scale power infrastructure, 2 to 5 years isn't a lot of time. So these 3 projects that we've got on the books that we've announced, we will be wrapping up construction of those in roughly 3 years. And so that'll represent a few $1 billion in capital, or just over $2 billion in capital to construct those. That will then generate, obviously, revenue for us, but also start having a real impact on the grid. In that same time period, we expect to take this investment, grow globally where the markets, where we see those signals properly, get a whole bunch of more contracts, start construction of the next wave of projects. So that's it. In terms of a team, we're going to grow quite a bit, mostly in Canada, but also in all these other markets, and hopeful that the energy transition continues to pick up pace. More wind, more solar, more carbon taxes to really address what is an urgent climate battle that we're all in.
Well, Curtis, good luck to Hydrostor and your team, and we'll look forward to interviewing you down the road when you're even more successful.
Excellent. Thank you.